for those of you who don't know, I am a journalist. I'm also an author and a human rights activist. I wear several different hats. I embraced Islam just over 4 years ago. And as I say, I think it's probably best if I just throw it open to the floor, because I'm sure you've all got your own questions, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them in a satisfactory manner, and hopefully you'll be able to report it in an accurate manner. So thank you.
I would like to know what you're planning to say in these fundraising evenings.
Well, I will be talking about my experience at the hands of the Taliban. I was held captive for 10-11 days, and although it was a very terrifying period in my life, it was also not without some humour, and I do enacted in a speech about that, and it usually goes down very well, not just with Muslims but with non-Muslims as well, and I do hope that non-Muslims will be coming along to hear me talk about that. I'm also an Islamic feminist, which some of you may think is a contradiction in terms, and I often talk about women's rights in Islam. I will also be talking about the poison of Islamophobia, which is worse in some parts of the world than in others, and the side effects of Islamophobia and how distressing it can be, and how to basically stand up to and reject Islamophobia. My talks aren't just for Muslims, and I do hope non-Muslims do come along as well.
Well, what about Islamophobia? In Canada, do you have, you've been here a few times, you say? Can you tell us what you know or what you see about Islamophobia in Quebec or in the rest of Canada, and what's behind it, and what Muslims or anybody else should be doing about it?
Islamophobia, it's a big long word, but basically it means racism. And Islamophobia is the last refuge of the racist scoundrel. And it can have a very, very distressing impact on communities. I don't see it as a huge problem in Canada, which is why I think that you have a very confident Muslim community over here. Certainly it's one of the youngest communities in North America, a highly educated community as well. More than 45% are university educated and want to contribute positively to Canada. So as I say, I don't see it as a huge problem. It can be if minority or fringe groups are allowed to whip it up into one, but I think with positive attitudes it shouldn't be a huge problem here.
Could I have your reaction about a certain controversy we have here? We're going to have a vote, federal vote in the next days, and we learned yesterday that Election Canada decided to allow Muslim women that wear niqab or burqa to vote their face covered, and a lot of people are disagree with this, and it makes a controversy. So what's your opinion on it?
You know, as a feminist, regardless of faith, I find it astonishing that anybody would try and stop women from voting. We know it happens in Saudi Arabia, but it should not be happening in Canada. And I know that the niqab is can be seen as a very controversial piece of clothing. But, you know, I think it's about time politicians, and particularly male politicians, learn to stay out of women's wardrobes. And I was amused when I heard about how Muslim women were being, who chose to wear the niqab, were being treated in this way. You know, I'm sure we all have our own opinions on dress. I shared a lift down in the hotel today with a man who had shorts on. He shouldn't have been wearing shorts with the figure that he had. And, you know, oh my God, he wore socks with his sandals. But, you know, that's his choice. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to look at him in a hostile manner because I found his style offensive. And I think that there's far too much distraction caused by this piece of cloth that some women choose to wear.
If I may, just as a sub-question, I think the issue here is not what the person is wearing, but it's a question of establishing the identity of the voter and concealing the face, which is the usual way of identifying, making sure that the person who says she is X is X. So could you deal with that as part of the
Absolutely.
issue and not really, whether it's a man wearing shorts?
That those people who sit there at the polling booths know every single person by name. And I'm quite sure that with or without a niqab, somebody could come in claiming to be a person. You're not going to know. You're going to take it, you know, they come in with their voting card. And I'm sure that the people at the polling station go through all the necessary checks to make sure that they are the person that they're dealing with. Meaning that I really, maybe I'm out of my depth here, but I don't know, do you have photo ID that you hand into the polling station?
Well,
you know, the niqab is being used as a distraction here, quite clearly. Because, as I say, the person who monitors the polling station, and I'm sure that they do an excellent job, cannot know every single voter by looking at them.
So, to resume, you think that asking two IDs is enough, and it's okay to allow these women to keep their niqab when they vote?
I think that it's wonderful that that people take part in the democratic process of voting, and it is something that Muslims are criticised for not engaging in democratic issues in countries, and yet here are a group of women who quite clearly want to engage fully in a democracy and a democratic process, and are being criticised and thwarted by their style of dress. It's really quite staggering, I find, as a feminist. And that would have been my view 10 years ago as a feminist.
Can you tell us how it works in England? Can women vote with their face covered?
Women have been able to vote since 1928. Very close to where I live, there is the grave of a woman called Emily Davison, who sacrificed her life in 1913 so women could vote. It is a serious issue. And she was one of a group of campaigning activists called suffragettes, who were prepared to go to prison, who went through all sorts of humiliation, degradation, imprisonment, force feeding, and one of them killed herself in the bid so that women could vote. And so I find the whole serious, you know, it is a serious issue when we're talking about attempts being made to stop women from having a vote because of what they wear.
With their face covered, they're allowed to vote in England?
Of course they are. It's, you know, I don't know why there is a big problem over the niqab. As I say, you might not like it, but you're not being asked to wear it, or you're not choosing to wear it. you know, like the man I shared in the lift today. It's down to an individual's right of